across Ontario. During Local Government Week, let's celebrate the success and ongoing work of local municipalities. Thank you to all those who have served or are serving site. A public meeting for the 2026 budget is being held on November 12th during the regular council meeting, and residents are encouraged to attend the meeting and provide comments and feedback on the proposed 2026 budget. In addition, a
and our website. And they're staging the equipment as we speak to start pulverizing the third line from 6-7 Clearview down to County Road 12. That's the last big job to be done. And they have told me that when they move
and honored that the entire fire department. We want to say thank you to the support we received for this vital piece of safety equipment, to the council and the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That's conclude your updates.
Thank you, Worship. That's it for now. It was a lot, so thank you for the time.
Thank you. And Chief, well done last night. That was a great opportunity to welcome a new piece of equipment. And I'll tell you what, after looking at the photos that I took, there was a lot of firefighters there. So it was great to see the support of the entire department on a very impressive piece of equipment. And I might add, like, comparing the two, because I did last night, comparing from Pump 22 that carries 2 firefighters and limited water capacity to Pump 22 New, which carries 6 firefighters to a scene and has automatic fire suppression on truck for anywhere we're going, whether that's car accident or structure fire. That will save lives. So I think I could speak on behalf of all council. We will continue to support the fire service as best we can, and these vital new pieces of equipment will certainly be in our budgets in the future. All right, so that takes us on to item 13, which is the consent agenda. There are 9 items on the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to be pulled from the agenda? Councillor Meadows?
Yeah, 13.1.
13.1.
13.2.
13.2. 13.4.
And 13.6.
And 13.6. All right. Any other items to be pulled from consent, council? Okay. So the motion for the remaining items will be that consent agenda recommendations 13.1, 13.5, and 13.7 to 13.9 be adopted as presented, and that staff be authorized to take all necessary actions as required. Do you have a mover for that recommendation? Did I say 13.1?
Yes.
Sorry. So it's 13.3. So I'll go through that again. So 13.3, 13.5, and then 13.7 to 13.9. My apologies. So that was moved by Councillor Cox, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laux. All those in favor? And that is carried. And Madam Clerk, I believe 3 of the items are staff and 1 correspondence. Okay. All right, so that takes us on to item 14, which is staff reports. 14.1 is staff report finance 2025-10, which is the appointment of external auditor. Mr. Anderchuk?
Thank you, through the chair. Bring this report forward for the appointment of an external auditor for our 2025 fiscal year. There's also a bylaw that is required to appoint the municipal auditor under section 22961 under the Municipal Act. Staff are requesting that Baker Tilly Chartered Professional Accountants be appointed as our municipal auditor for the 2025 fiscal year. Previously, Baker Tilly was awarded through a tender as our auditors for the 2020 to 2024 years through staff report 2021-18. I'd like to add that we would, with the new term of council, then go to award for an external auditor to coincide with the new term of council, and also add that we have an excellent working relationship with Baker Tilly. Sue Bragg, the partner, and her staff, they have an excellent knowledge of our systems and policies, and we would very much want to continue the working relationship with Baker Tilly.
Okay, thank you. Any questions through to the treasurer on his report? Councillor Meadows.
Yeah, with regards to Baker Tilly, is the amount going to be the same that they're charging each year, or is there a change? And if there is a change, is it a big change, 10%, 5%?
Mr. Anderchuk?
Through the chair to Councillor Meadows, there will be a small increase, was indicated to me from Baker Tilly, but it'll be within the scope of what we budget annually for the audit. And the actual, as far as the actual audit is concerned, we actually do incur some charges this year because they do an interim audit, and then the rest of the audit actually occurs in the new year, and which we also pay for. So the actual expenses for the audit actually span over two years, but within those 2 years, the budget will be sufficient to cover the expenditures of the 2025 audit.
Sir?
So in the following year, are we going to be looking at doing checking to see if there's other companies?
Correct. Staff will go
That's
out
after the second.
with an RFP to solicit other firms to bid on
Tender.
external audit for the next 4
Thank
or
you.
5 years.
I just don't want us to be complacent and keep getting awarding contracts. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, there is a recommendation. Do I have a mover for that recommendation? I have Councillor Cox, seconded by Councillor Borzos. That's staff report finance 2025-010, dated October 8, 2025, regarding appointment of the external auditor be received, and that council appoint Baker Tilly SGB LLP Chartered Professional Accountants as the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio external auditor for the 2025 fiscal year, and that council consider the necessary bylaw to appoint Baker Tilly SGB LLP as the municipal auditors for the township to undertake the municipal audit and to prepare the consolidated financial statements for the 2025 fiscal year. Any further questions? All those in favor? That is carried. Item 14.2, Staff Report Finance 2025-11, DC Background Study and Water Financial Plan Award. Mr. Anderchuk.
Thank you. Through the chair, staff are very pleased to bring forward this report for the DC Background Study and Water Financial Plan to be awarded. We did conduct an invitational competition, so bids were basically solicited from the two largest firms with the most experience, being Hempson Consulting and Watson and Associates. The resulting bids are there in the report. Both firms have a very long history of completing DC background studies and water financial plans. Both firms were able to meet the deadlines required by the township. They have very similar experiences. I'd like to add that as well as the actual key difference was Hempson Consulting did come in as the lowest bid. It was $5,750 lower. And so based on all this information and the firms being pretty much equal in terms of background, history, being able to meet our timelines, as I said, we are recommending that Hempson Consulting be approved to complete the DC background study and water financial plan. I like to add that the water financial plan is required to be completed to go along with our water license as required under the legislation. And we are, we are recommending that the DC background study be completed earlier than we normally would, just due to the changes in legislation, the upcoming new development, and the desire to have a new DC background approved prior to the new term of council.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions through to Mr. Anderchuk with regards to the DC background and water financial plan? All right, seeing none. Mover, please. Councillor Simpson, seconded by Councillor O'Leary. That's staff report finance 2025-011 dated October 8, 2025 regarding DC background study and water financial plan award be received. And the council award the development charge background study at a cost of $39,700 and the water financial plan at a cost of $12,550 to Hempson Consulting Limited. Any questions on that? On all those in favor? And that is carried. All right, so we're on to 14.3, which is staff report CO 2025-002, alternative water sources for settlement areas in Adjala-Tosorontio. Mr. Calamitu.
Through your worship, staff were tasked to find alternative water sources due to the amount of growth that will be happening through the township in a number of years to come, and also take a look at alternative water sources that would be able to supply the township. So there were discussions and some high-level analysis done with regard to alternatives. There is the discussion happened with regard to neighboring municipalities to see if we could get water somehow from them or through them. And there were we also took a look at a high level with other water sources such as creeks and rivers. Unfortunately, none of them came boiled up. The best way and the cheapest way and the quickest way is not necessarily another water source, but it is with respect to groundwater. And because of that, it is difficult to drill a well and another well and hit a different aquifer. It can be done, but it would be spaced out. Yes, we do have a large municipality, but again, we do have wells throughout the municipality too. However, that does not stop staff from continuing to explore our alternatives as things change. There may be other opportunities in the future. So the recommendations note the continuation of looking into those and also looking into potential funding sources, whether it be from the province, etc.
Thank you. I know Councillor Borzos, you're the one that had this as a notice motion, so I'm not sure if you want to speak on this, but I know there is an alternative solution as well to spend another $55,000 to hire an engineer to find alternative water sources if that's something that council wanted to pursue. But just looking to you for first comment, if you like.
Great, thank you. And through the chair, I simply have one question. In the report, it does state that at the moment there is no feasible alternative to what we already have, right? So to me, it's logical to maybe start slowing down on development until we figure out what we're going to do for more water. Is that more of a question or statement? I don't know what it is. Take it as you wish.
Through the chair, as noted, the best, the one that floated to the top was local groundwater. And again, it is not a separate water source because it would more than likely be through the same aquifer. However, as any development moves along, they have to do hydrogeological testing with test wells to ensure that they have enough water, or the wells could produce enough water and the aquifers could produce enough water for anything that they're putting forward with regard to population or water use, etc. So that isn't determined at this high level, but it is always asked for to be determined at a more specific level when applicants come through.
Supplemental to that?
Yes, sir.
Through the chair, and this is with respect and many thanks from me to the staff and yourself for preparing the report, but I still think that then we should start looking at some engineering, and we should start looking at some groundwater studies and making sure that in Everett, where we are planning to build Lord knows how many houses, then we're not going to drill holes into the same aquifer hoping that we're going to get more water, because we're not going to get more water than what's already there. So should we not be just looking at what the capacity is, again, with a new study and with a new perspective, considering the number of homes that we want to build there? So, thank you.
Thank you. To provide some comment on that, though, I'm not sure if it's in our best interest to spend $50,000 to $60,000 to investigate water sources. When I believe the CEO just indicated that that'd be on the onus of a developer, I'd rather them spend $60,000 to investigate if there's water so that they could proceed or not, rather than us having that. So that option is in the report. It's certainly in Mr. Kalamutu included that there. If we would like to hire an engineering firm He's estimating that to be about 55,000 to investigate groundwater sources. So it's certainly an option open to council if we'd like to go down that path. We would have to see if what the bids would actually come back for something like that though too. So I think that's a ballpark estimate as to what that would cost. So I see several hands. I'll go around the table. So Councillor Simpson, Councillor O'Leary, and then Councillor Meadows.
Through the chair, just wanted to highlight that this report came because of Councillor Borzo's motion, and I think it wasn't just related to development. I think also it was with regard to looking at alternate sources for water in areas where the wells may have issues, right? And it was out of an abundance of caution that council agreed to move forward with that. And I think that's what this whole thing is about. It's to make sure that, you know, council and the township are aware of potentialities for issues that could occur in any one of our water systems, and being prepared and having the ability to identify alternate sources. And so I think this report has done that, and it also ensures that staff continue discussions with Simcoe County and with other municipalities in the area, and I think that will certainly help our residents. So I do want to thank staff for that report. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor O'Leary.
Through the chair, I agree full-heartedly with Anu that these developments that are going to, even the developments that have been approved at present, should one of them come up short and no water, we're on the hook. We're responsible because we approved the development and now they have no water. So therefore, the residents and the councils are going to have to provide sufficient potable water for these people. So I think that we should be proactive and find our alternative sources so that should something occur that we're prepared. That's basically it. It's just, you know, think outside the box, be prepared for future conditions should they happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Meadows.
Thank you. Yeah, with regards to this whole issue with the alternate water sources, I totally agree with Anub and Miklos and also Ron over this issue. And I brought it up before over in Loretto and also in the Colgan area when we're looking at expanding those particular developments over a period of time. I'd just like to know from the CAO how much it would cost. Did you look into any costing on what it would cost to hook into the main pipe that's coming down from Collingwood?
Mr. CAO.
Through your worship, we do have some estimated costs within the report. If there was to say be a second phase to hook up to a pipe that would be coming out, say from Georgian Bay as an example. So if there was a second phase or a twinning of the pipe or an option to tap into that pipe, the estimate right now is between $50 and $150 million. Just to pay our share.
That's a lot of development charges. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions on the item? Okay, seeing none. A mover for the recommendation, please. Councillor Borzo, seconded by Councillor Simpson. That's staff report CAO 2025-002 dated October 8, 2025 regarding alternative water sources for settlement areas in Adjala-Tosorontio will be received, and that staff continued discussions with Simcoe County area municipalities, developers within the township and the provincial government to investigate future alternative water sources and or future water systems, and that staff be authorized to submit any future application to the province regarding funding for investigation, design, and or implementation of potential water systems for servicing settlement areas within the township. Any further questions on the item? All those in favor? That is carried. All right, so we're on to 14.4, which is staff report CLK 2025-19, Township Lobbyist and Gift Registry. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Council. Earlier this year, I was provided direction by Council to prepare a lobbyist and gift registry prior to the end of 2025. A copy of the draft lobbyist registry bylaw is enclosed to the staff report this evening. Throughout the staff report in the analysis section, I have indicated that staff have not undertaken works on the gift registry at this time. Bill 9 is going to be under consideration by the provincial government when they do resume on October 20th. That bill does propose to introduce a universal code of conduct for all municipalities. Staff are recommending at this time that we do wait until the province considers that bill before moving forward with our own gift registry. As many larger municipalities already have a gift registry, I would anticipate that a gift registry would be included in this code of conduct being proposed by the province. In terms of the lobbyist registry, staff have undertaken a comprehensive review of other municipalities, the other 15 municipalities within the province that have a lobbyist registry. Extensive research and conversations with surrounding municipalities proposed the bylaw that's in front of you tonight for not for consideration, but the draft bylaw that's in front of you this evening. With that, there is a series of recommendations. Based on where we are in the term of council, we are recommending that this bylaw be enacted for the new term of council. Based on conversations with other municipalities, we understand it's important to undergo public engagement to ensure both the public office holders, the residents, and the lobbyists understand the terms of the bylaw. And staff are also recommending that we proceed with finding an independent external lobbyist register to investigate lobbyist registry complaints. I'm happy to take any questions this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Reid. Any questions through to the clerk on this item? Councillor Simpson.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm pleased to see this lobbyist registry and the draft being presented to council. I think it's great to have an open and transparent council, and establishing this registry certainly assists with that. I know in the report we had noted that either the clerk or an external individual be listed as the registrar for the registry. And I think I agree with the clerk's point that especially with strong mayor powers being present, that it shouldn't be anybody who's on staff or senior management, and no disrespect to anybody in that position. I think it helps to maintain the lobbyist registry when the registrar is independent and entirely independent. So I think that would be the best way to move forward with that. With regard to the enactment date, it would be nice if it was before, but I am not opposed to having the new council take that role on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have one question, and because I've read the report extensively, and I'm going to pose this question to council, I guess, particularly because, again, the clerk's done a thorough job in researching and laying out the processes here. I still do have concerns with having a lobbyist registry because I don't believe the intention has been fully explained. And so I'm looking to council tonight because I'm honestly just trying to find what the reason council members would like to have a lobbyist registry for. Because I think there's some misinterpretation of what a lobbyist is and who a lobbyist is. So if anyone would like to provide some comment to me on that, I think that'd be helpful to understand. I think Madam Clerk would be helpful to understand what the intention behind having a registry would be. So I'm not sure if anybody would like to answer that. Okay, well, I can't support it because of that. If there's no reason to have it from council, then I don't think there's a reason to have it. I think there's a concern here if there's an understanding of what we're trying to do here, we're spending potentially up to, $15,000 to $20,000 more each year in our budget to have a person doing this. It adds another set of, and I fully agree with the transparency aspect here, but it adds another workload to our staff. It adds another process in place for potentially residents and or lobbyists who very well could be not-for-profits in our community. So the ones we'd like to support would have to lobby us to come and put on an event here. So any of the conversations that they have before they come to council, they're lobbyists. So I'm particularly thinking like the Legions. They want to come here and they're asking us for $10,000 to put on an event. They are a lobbyist. So we're adding a whole different workload to, I think, what we're trying to get at as a community. So I'm just looking for an opinion from council because it wasn't clear to me when we first asked staff to investigate, and it's still not clear to me tonight. Councillor Simpson?
So, Mayor Anderson, you've asked a question on why this needs to happen. You've identified the Legion and other nonprofits and potentially that they might be lobbyists. If you look at page 98 of our list in the package that we received for today, it says who is a lobbyist, and certainly not-for-profits that don't have paid staff would not be considered lobbyists. I think the concern here is, especially with regard to the development climate that our municipality is entering, I think there is a greater need for greater transparency when it comes to development activities. Certainly, I think we're all aware of the EROs that have been announced, which specifically name our township as one of the regions that the province wants to see additional growth happening in. And when that happens, there is a push for development. And I think when it comes to those kinds of things, having greater transparency helps residents to see that their elected officials are working for them, and that they are, who they're meeting with, how often they're meeting with, and those are all put on the record. And I think in a democracy, that is helpful. That our residents see that, it's not an issue that we meet with lobbyists. It's not necessarily anything wrong. It's just that if it's adequately documented, the potentiality for any bad actors certainly goes down.
Okay.
Thank you.
And again, I certainly appreciate your position on that. I think we have a difference of opinion as to what might be a lobbyist, because the reason I use the Legion, for example, is because they are actually a not-for-profit and their command is paid. And so if you take the organization itself, then it is a paid lobbyist. It's the same as Contact or Class or any of these organizations that would want to have a meeting with anyone in this room would have to fill out a document to say that they're lobbying one of us or all of us or whoever. And again, I appreciate the concern with development, but if a developer or anyone came in and filed an application, they're no longer a lobbyist then. So then that wouldn't be reported. So as soon as they file a application to the township, then there is no lobbyist registry because there's an internal application process. So again, I'm just concerned here that we're creating another piece of work for our staff. And I've had discussions with our CAO with regards to this. Is we do run a nimble staff, and I feel that council continually puts on a few more priorities to staff to investigate. We've got 2 reports, for example, this evening, taking away their time from other projects. And so I'm just looking at really clearing the air here tonight and saying, do we really want to have more staff time and more time focused on something which I don't believe we have an issue with at the present time for transparency or visibility? So again, that's why I wanted to ask a question, because I believe there's a bit of a misunderstanding as who would be a lobbyist. So, and I'll just use the example again, a developer comes in tomorrow, files an application for subdivision, they're no longer a lobbyist. So they have any conversation with staff, any conversation with myself, any conversation with yourselves, and they're no longer a lobbyist. So what's the full intent of providing a registry is what I'm trying to get at. Councillor Borzos, I did see your hand as well if you wanted to comment. Okay.
Gathering my thoughts.
All right. Councillor Cox.
Through the chair, really no one, just a general comment. I support the intent behind this. I just don't support 15 to 20 grand a year. That's all. I like to keep our expenses low in the township. I don't want a gift. I don't want to talk to anybody that could be a lobbyist either. Right? I like to talk to my constituents. That's about where it stops with me. So I don't know, from my perspective in Ward 5, wouldn't really affect me because I have no interest in it. So, and I just don't want to add another tax burden to our population base.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments from council? All right. So no other questions. There is a motion on the floor, or will be on the floor if I could move her. Councillor Simpson. Second by Councillor Borzos. All right, so the recommendation is that staff report CLK 2025-019 dated October 8, 2025 regarding township lobbyist and gift registry be received, and that staff be directed to present the final version of the lobbyist registry bylaw for council consideration with an enactment date of November 15th, 2026, and that staff proceed with the request for quotation for a lobbyist registrar, and that staff be directed to take the necessary steps to implement a gift registry following the provincial government's consideration of Bill 9, Municipal Accountability Act. Any further questions or comments? Sorry, further questions and comments? Okay, I've got Deputy Mayor first because he spoke.
Okay, through the chair, just to reiterate from what the clerk mentioned, so ideally we should be delaying this until Bill 9 has come through. Is that the...
Gift registry would be delayed.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Deputy Mayor Laux. The recommendation is just for the gift registry. So no gift registry has been prepared at this time. We're recommending that once Bill 9 is considered, we'll have a clearer idea if the province is proceeding and that they will become mandatory, or if they do not, we can prepare and bring one forward to council at that time for consideration.
So lobbyist and gift are not combined.
Through Your Worship, to Deputy Mayor Laux, correct. A lobbyist registry is a separate bylaw that is enacted under the Municipal Act, where a gift registry typically pulls its authority through the Council Code of Conduct.
Okay, Councillor Cox.
Yeah, through the chair to Kirk. Is there do we have like an intent to award when we do our like RFPs or RFQs where we're mandated to award once we put a solicitation out?
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Councillor Cox. So in this case, the reason I am recommending a request for quotation is in order to give council that opportunity, similar to the way that we did the request for quotation for an integrity commissioner earlier this year, that if you did not want to proceed with it, we wouldn't be bound to proceed with that lobbyist register who had the lowest bid or one at all.
Supplementary, more so is if we put the RFQ out, I know in some levels of government, if you have a certain amount of received quotes, there's an intent to an award and you should award the contract if you go out for those quotes. And that's what I'm asking, because so if we went out for quotes and we didn't get approved, there's no harm, no foul, right? That's why I'm asking, do we have that in our procurement policy where if we go out for quotation, we do have an intent to award or like a mandate to award?
Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship, through to Councillor Cox. So with an RFQ, no. We do also include a provision in all of our RFPs that we are not obligated to award. An RFQ is put out for that reason, is we're just gathering information on quotations to approach for engagement.
Okay. Councillor Meadows.
I just have a question for the clerk. With regards to the gift registries and that, how many other municipalities have this in place? Do you know? Is it just something that we're just starting, or like a lobbyist registry? Do many municipalities have it?
Madam Clerk?
Through your worship to Councillor Meadows. Thank you for the question, Councillor Meadows. Currently, based on my research, 15 municipalities out of the 444 within Ontario have lobbyist registries. The town of Caledon just enacted theirs as of July 1st of this year, and this Guelph just enacted theirs January 1st of this year.
A lot of them are starting to come on board with this. Is that correct? Sorry, through your worship.
Sure. Well, I don't know if that's a fair question to ask. There's 444 municipalities in Ontario, and if the clerk's only aware of 15, then I'm not sure if that's coming on board.
No, but I'm just saying, is this just something that's just starting to come out because of certain circumstances that are starting to happen?
Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Worship. Through to Councillor Meadows. Based on the research, I observed the trend was that larger municipalities are the ones that are seeming to adopt lobbyist registries at this time.
Councillor Simpson?
Through the chair, just wanted to address Councillor Meadows' question. It's not just smaller municipalities, it's certainly municipalities that are facing growth and growth pressures. So a smaller municipality, which is smaller than us, like Blue Mountains, has also enacted the lobbyist registry. In our own county, we've got Collingwood, who's got one, who's had one for many years. So there are several that you'll see that are not necessarily as big as Toronto or Caledon.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? All right, so we have a mover and seconder for the motion, and it has been read. All those in, sorry.
Vote, please.
Certainly. Madam Clerk, a recorded vote has been requested for Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor Simpson, in favor or against? Councillor Borzos, in favor or against?
In favor.
Councillor Cox, in favor or against?
Against.
Councillor Meadows, in favor or against?
In favor?
Councillor O'Leary, in favor or against?
I'm against.
Deputy Mayor Laux, in favor or against?
Against.
And Mayor Anderson, in favor or against?
Against.
That's 3 in favor, 4 against.
Okay, the motion's defeated. Okay, so that takes us on to 14.5, which is Community Development and Event Committee Outdoor Movie Night event. I know the report's written by the clerk, but I'm going to go to Councillor Cox if you'd like to provide comment on this committee report. You were at the committee, right? No, I just want you to outline what the process is.
Yeah, through the chair, this is something I actually wanted to do since I got into this position, is that we need more community events to bring our families together, and the more we could do for the youth in this township, the better, I think. So I proposed to have an outdoor movie night here at the township. We've contacted vendors, but it was too short time frame because we have to bring it through council approval, and here we are tonight. So I really think this would be a well-received event for families and have a good, safe night for, nice outdoor movie night.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, would you like to add anything further?
Through your worship to the rest of council, should council approve this event this evening, the Community Development and Event Committee will be meeting later this month and will commence planning for the fall event, in addition to the annual candidate day event as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? All right, seeing none, can I get a mover for the recommendation, please? I have Councillor Meadows, seconded by Deputy Mayor Laux. That's staff report CLK 2025-020 dated October 8th, 2025 regarding community development and event committee outdoor movie night event be received, and that the community development and event committee outdoor movie night event be approved. All those in favor? That is carried. 14.6 is staff report CLK 2025-021. It's with regards to the Rural Ontario Development Program grant, and again with regards to the community development and event committee. So there's an application for a mural program. Madam Clerk, if you'd like to comment on this, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Council. A couple of months ago, we took the Rural Ontario Development Program guidelines to the committee for consideration, looking for feedback on a possible grant that staff could submit. The committee, after considering their options, is recommending an arts installation here at Warden's Park. The staff report does outline, should we be successful with the grant, the process that we would go through for the submission and the art requirements. Looking for any feedback on this. I know the committee would be happy to move this project forward. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Just wanted to comment before that I think this is a great initiative, and I'm hopeful we're successful in this grant funding opportunity. And if we are, I would certainly offer some suggestions for some of the murals. And I know that we'd probably be looking at local artists, but I think if council has any suggestions at all, they'd be certainly welcomed by the committee. Councillor Cox.
Yeah, through the chair. I'm sure this is not the time to say it, but I just wondered if it does go through, it would be nice to see some of the our Indigenous heritage tied into the mural.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Simpson.
Through the chair, I'd like to echo Councillor Cox on that. I think having this also include some Indigenous history would be appropriate. Additionally, is the intent to have the mural along the walkway on the floor, or is it to put it along the side?
Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor Simpson. I believe the intent would be to put out a scope of work to artists and see what they return to us, and then based on their judge the submissions.
Is this also open to sculptures?
Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor Simpson. I believe the committee has specified a mural. If we are successful for the grant and as we go through that process, we can get more specific in exactly what they're looking for to come back from the artists. Again, we would be putting out a general scope of work to artists, receiving submissions from them, and then taking them to the committee for approval at that time.
And again, I think it's imperative that the committee take an active approach in this. I think it's their idea, and again, comments should be flowing through them to see what we get for submissions. All right, do I have a mover for this recommendation? I have Councillor Cox, seconded by Councillor Meadows. That's staff report CLK 2025-021 dated October 8th, 2025 regarding Rural Ontario Development Program grant, community development application be received, and that council approve the community development and event committee recommendation to direct staff to submit an application for a mural project to showcase the cultural heritage of the township through the Rural Ontario Development Program grant, community development stream. All those in favor? That's carried. All right, so we have 3 additional items from staff reports added from consent. So the 3 for staff reports. 1 for correspondence. Take it. I was second my guess myself there too. 13.1 is staff report BLD Building 2025-004 with regards to the Colgan Crossing subdivision agreement status update. So Councilor Meadows, you did pull this, so I'll go to you first.
Thank you very much, through your worship. I just want to thank Debbie and Brent and the CAO for their getting back to me in a timely manner with the information that I requested with regards to this. I was a little concerned when I saw some of the figures in that in this report. One of them was with regards to what we lost in DC charges. We lost, I'm just going by basic calculations from the numbers that you guys gave me, and I came up with roughly around 2 million. If we had waited an extra month to sign the subdivision agreement, we would have made over $2 million more. I'm kind of concerned on that because to me that was not a good way to go. There was other things as well in the report that caught my attention, and I'm just concerned because I sat here on this council when all this was transpiring, and so did a few other people. And I don't want the same thing happening again. And I know we got a totally different bunch of people, and our staff are, as far as I'm concerned, are top notch. And I just want to say that to our residents, because this isn't going to be the same, but it's starting out to be the same when it comes to Everett. I don't want to see it that way. I want us all to make the right decisions on this, because we lost a lot of money on this subdivision agreement. And that's because it was pushed forward. And that's about all I have to say on it.
Thank you, Councillor Meadows. Now, you mentioned yourself that you've been here for a number of years, and the two other of us that are sitting on this committee, council from that term. And I am concerned that with the comment with regards to that we lost, because we didn't lose anything. And then the other comment is that we didn't push through anything either. Because if you can recall, we actually passed the 2021 DC bylaw in September of 2021. And the agreement came to us for signing on November 9th, 2021. So when that agreement came to us, we had already passed the DC bylaw, and council was fully aware of that. So they were at the new DC rates. What happened after that was the unfortunate part. So to sit here and say that council rushed or passed something quickly because of this process, we certainly didn't. The bylaw was in place and the agreement was signed on November 9th. The unfortunate part happened after that, which was found that there had been an error in notice provisions for the development charge bylaw. And based on legal opinion, that bylaw was now null and void. So council had to reissue the notice, and then the bylaw came to council in December to be passed. So it's a very unfortunate circumstance, because at the time council, with the information they had a new DC bylaw in place, in their hand, ready to go for adoption of a subdivision agreement. And then unfortunately it was determined that there was an error and it had to be void and then reenacted in December. And that's where that interaction caused the, if you want to call it, a loss of revenue from DCs. But it's at no fault to this council, or to the previous council, I should say, that there was an error on that part. So I'm concerned that, again, we want to make sure that the facts are correct here, and the timeline sitting right in front of me, that we did do that. Council was aware that there was a new bylaw. The agreement came to council for signing. It was done, and then the error was found. But I also want to echo, because I do appreciate your comments about staff's thoroughness in this report, is the fact that we've had two reports on this item, this one and the previous one, I believe in April, with regards to that we did save, this municipality saved considerable amount of dollars because we didn't have to buy into the share of the wastewater treatment plant that Tribute did build for the community of Colgan. And had we built that facility, and it's in here, and collected the connection charges, we would have been at a loss of $19 million. And we actually, through this process, didn't have to pay out $19 million. And I believe with the existing community of Colgan accounted for in the development of that plant, we've saved upwards of $5 million in total to this municipality because the subdivision agreement was signed and the developer paid and built the complete facility for the wastewater treatment plant. So I do want to echo those comments because it is in the same report saying that we've seen us, that we would have been responsible for approximately $19 million of this project, and we aren't. So I want to thank Debbie and her staff for putting this together because I think it's imperative that this information come out to clear the record, because there's been a lot of misinformation and disinformation in the last few years with regards to how this process has unfolded. So I'll go back to you for initial comments.
Yeah, I have to disagree with some of the comments that you're making because of the fact that when you and 4 other councilors petitioned a meeting for the subdivision agreement, and you petitioned it because the past mayor didn't want to do the subdivision agreement right away. And the reason, and I sat in on that meeting, and I had about 25 to 30 different things that I wanted added into the subdivision agreement. And not one of those items got put on. It got rushed through. And Ron sat in that meeting too. We asked for, we wanted all the information. Schedule A wasn't there. There was no plans, no documents that were supplied to us for that meeting. So that's the way it happened. If we had waited and done it properly, and this is no fault attribute, none whatsoever, it was the fault of this council that this happened. There's nobody else to blame. And if you want to, if you think that I'm wrong, or you think that I'm making up information here, I am not making this up. And Ron, you sat in at that meeting. Well, am I wrong in what I'm saying?
So you're not, so hold on here. We're not going back and forth with this. You've made your comments. If you'd like to make your comments further, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a back
And if I'm wrong, please correct me. You petitioned the meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
You and four other councilors.
Thank you. And I appreciate that, but to be honest, you are wrong. Because you declared a conflict at that meeting and didn't participate in the debate of the subdivision agreement. So
That's not correct.
your 25 items that you were going to put in the agreement weren't on the table because you weren't here.
No, that's not correct. That's not correct. You're making you're now providing misinformation.
Please explain that, because
I said that I would not.
you were at the meeting.
I would not sign. I would not sign the agreement, and I defaulted my position for standing up as the deputy mayor and the mayor and the deputy as the deputy mayor. I handed over. I relinquished my seat so somebody else could take it over, because I would not sign the subdivision agreement. I would not want my name on that subdivision agreement. That's the reason why I did it.
Well, thank you.
Wasn't a conflict of interest.
Well, you had declared multiple conflicts of interest through the whole process. So that if I'm confused on that, it'd be one to another. So it was a very convoluted situation. But I must say, regardless of who signed the agreement was passed through council. It received adoption, and it was signed. And as I said before, the existing DC bylaw, or the new DC bylaw, had been in place for that meeting. And so council was fully under the impression that a new DC bylaw was in place. So I do disagree with the fact that the information you're sharing with us is not totally accurate. I have Councillor Cox and then Councillor Simpson. Councillor Cox.
Yeah, through the chair. So I asked for this report. I asked for it, and it kind of touches on this point 7 that was made in public comment about being fully aware. The people that were there can't even agree on what happened. So I asked for the report so that I can get actual numbers, because it's going back and forth constantly. So for number 7 here, to Mr. Floyd. I was not fully aware. That's why I asked. The people that were there aren't even fully aware. So like for us, we're going in here blind as a new counselor. Absolutely blind. So I asked for a report because I want to know actuals. And here we are today. That's all I like to say.
Thank you. And you have no concerns with those actuals?
Supplementary? There's a lot of concerns, and I hope there's a big lesson learned file on this development.
Councillor Simpson.
Through the chair. So this is something that has come to council a couple of times now. This council, in fact. It came in February when we were asking for numbers. At that time, once we had received a report, I had put out a Facebook comment that's been shared on various township Facebook groups. Recommend everybody read it. We spoke about what happened and the process that happened, and this was especially something that I had identified to be a very big problem, where in our DC bylaw, which was supposed to be passed September 27th, but in fact, and the mayor here says that, you know, there was nothing wrong, that, you know, it was just a little mistake. Well, we shouldn't be making those kinds of mistakes. The DC rate that was applicable for the Colgan subdivision was based on the 2016 numbers, and it should not have been. It should have been based on the 2021 numbers. That was the intent of council, that was the intent of staff. Despite that intent, mistakes were made that made it possible that the developer got a substantial reduction in fees for development. That is further evidenced by the numbers that the developer sent to the municipality following that. So once they signed the agreement, they sent over development charges to the municipality in the amount that was contemplated under the 2021 DC bylaw. The municipality then had to return the excess funds because the subdivision agreement was signed first and the DC bylaw was signed in December 10th. So that is a mistake. That is not a mistake. And please understand, this is not to condemn members of previous council. It's to understand what happened, because we need to understand what happened, because we cannot be in that situation again. We cannot have mistakes of that nature come up in future developments, especially as we're seeing development in Everett coming up. We've got 2,000 houses that have been, well, 1,966 houses in the Everett subdivision, the far side subdivisions, the two of them, R&M and the other, Barzo. Thank you. But in addition to that, and one of the things we're going to be talking about later today is Councillor Meadows' notice with regard to, well, where did the 4,010 number come from? Because council never saw that. Have there been discussions? And this is one of the reasons why we don't have an application forward in for those additional homes. And this is where I wonder, you know, how did that number come around? Because that's a very specific number, 4,010.
Councillor Simpson, can you speak to the topic, please?
Yes, sorry. It's with regard to the development process. And I think we on council, we need to be careful how we address these things, especially because we are going to see more development and more applications coming forward. In today's council meeting, we've approved for Hampson Consulting to do development charge background study in a similar fashion to what we did in 2021, right? So we need to make sure that when they come back and they're presenting numbers, that those are the numbers that the new development is going to take on. We want to make sure also, and this is one of my concerns, is I don't want to give freebies. Like, developers are there for they're there to make money. They're gonna make money, right? They're making money in New Tech, which has a development charge of 100,000. We are at 9,000 based on the indexing, 11,900 or so. So if they're making money in New Tech, you can imagine they're going to make money here too. even if the development charge is 100,000. So we just need to make sure that we do it the right way. And I know that the mayor has noted in his comments that because the developer built, the facilities for water and wastewater, and I don't think that the developer built the facilities for water. In fact, I think the developer only built the facilities for wastewater. Pardon?
No, I'll let the councillor, let him speak. He can finish his comments and then we'll go.
Sure. So with regard to the wastewater, and I think we've identified here, based on this report, that, we've saved 19 million. Respectfully, I don't think we've saved any money. It's just that in order for them to build their facilities, they need that they need to build that. So they're going to do that. It also says that the numbers that we've identified for water connection and for wastewater connection are not adequate. So, and this is going to tie right back in to Everett. In Colgan, in this report, we've noted that it's $23,000 for a water connection. Well, in Everett, that amount is $16,000, and that's based on a 2017 study. Those numbers are wrong. They need to be updated. This is why when council was talking, I believe in March, we had a special meeting to address the MSPs, the servicing plans for Everett. And those numbers need to be updated. We've asked for that update. We'd like to see the update. We'd like to see what those new numbers should look like, because certainly we're not benefiting by 19 million because of this. Development is coming, developers coming, they're doing this in their interest, and the municipality needs to act in its best interest and make sure that the numbers that we collect are appropriate for our municipality, and that they make sense, and that once the development comes in, that we're not paying and taxpayers are not on the hook for improvements that need to happen once that comes in. Certainly, if you look at Everett, if the population there increases substantially.
Again, to stay on topic. Everett's not on the table here.
Well, it ought to be, I think. I mean, this is one of the biggest issues that we're dealing with.
The report clearly says Colgan Crossing subdivision agreement status.
It's all about learning from these reports, not saying that, hey, nothing happened back then, guys. There's nothing to look at. There is something to look at. There's something we need to learn, and there's things that we need to do to address growth going forward. And Everett is certainly that. And I look forward to discussing Everett more. And I hope we all do, and we get the opportunity to, especially seeing as we've got a notice of motion on the table to be discussed shortly. So.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. I'm pretty sure we all read our agendas. Just to thoroughly, yes. So just a comment though I want to make, in no way am I demeaning anyone's opinion here as to what's happened. I'm of the opinion, and I've sat here for a number of years, we can't go back. You can't undo something, but we've talked about the subject more often than I can count. And I do appreciate your comments, Councillor Cox, that you wanted a thorough, I'm not going to use the word investigation because I don't think that's quite, but a review of what happened. But to say again that the municipality is out money or lost or whatever, the decisions made at the time, the information that we have now is the same thing. We could go back 30 or 40 years ago and say, why did this council do that? Why did staff do that? Why did we buy a road? Why did we buy this piece of equipment? And question every little thing saying that cost us money or we didn't make enough. We sold a piece of property. Well, maybe we sold a piece of property yesterday, but if we keep on it for 10 years, it's going to be worth $1 million instead of the $500,000 we just sold. There's the what ifs. And I would like this to be completely open here. The fact is, as I've explained it, council at the time based their decisions on the information, the best information that was provided to them by staff. And they made a determination and a decision on that. And we can argue argue as to what the facts were and what happened and who didn't call which meeting and why they didn't call which meeting and why council had to petition a meeting. And we can talk about a $265 million lawsuit that was against the township that named members of council that wouldn't go away, that we spent over $500,000 in fighting. Like we talked about earlier about 15,000, we spent $500,000 in litigation because somebody sued us for $265 million because we weren't acting in the best interest. And I agree with that we weren't acting in the best interest. We weren't having the thorough conversations. We weren't working with individuals. We weren't listening to staff, and there was a concern. So what I'm looking at is we've got the information here, and I'm going to go to Ms. Anderson for additional comment because she did author the report. But the fact is we've got the information here, and I would hope that council, and as I indicated earlier, we have staff here willing and able to proceed with priorities for this municipality, to continue things that we need to do as a municipality. We've seen more progress in this term. I think everyone who's around this table will understand we've seen more progress in this term of council than a lot of years. And I don't want to lose sight of that. So I would love for this to be to a situation where whether we agree or disagree on this topic, we move forward. We have other problems and other issues and other possibilities for this municipality. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Ms. Anderson, if you'd like to just provide some additional comments on the report, please.
So through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Simpson, the Tribute Communities did construct a water tower. So it was constructed and it needed to be constructed to support the development. There has been some of the infrastructure and some of the existing houses, not all of the way up, but some of them have been tied into the new infrastructure that was put in on Concession Road 8. I believe there was 1 or 2 houses because I saw the water connection fees. So any of the existing properties that are not on municipal water that do get tied into the Colgan development will pay those connection fees. And the connections have been brought up to a certain extent. They will extend in the future.
Thank you. So I've got Councillor Meadows and then Councillor Cox.
Yeah, I just got a question, Debbie, through the chair, for Debbie with regards to, yes, they had to build a water tower, and development has to pay for development. It's not up to the township to build a water tower if they need a water tower for their development. The other issue I had was, can you tell me how much they paid to hook into our water system that we had to pay $2 million, well, we had about a $2 million loan out on that water system for them to hook up into our well that we've had the loan out on. So I'd like to know how much money we paid, or they paid us to hook into our water system.
So again, before I go to Ms. Anderson, again, there's a difference between what we have here, because you are correct. We invested considerable amount of money into that water system.
Absolutely.
But we also did have a share for the improvements. So again, to say that there was no cost to us as a municipality, there would have been a cost. So keep that in mind, because at the end of the day, with agreements that are in place, we didn't have to pay our share for the improvements to the water system for what Colgan and for what Tribute was doing. And they took the full cost. So you're asking somebody to pay us for hooking into a system, but then for them not to ask for payment to utilize their services. So just to put that in perspective. Ms. Anderson?
Your Worship, to Councillor Meadows, I'm not aware of any fees that were paid. Yeah. However, Tribute Communities constructed the water tower to support the development for Tribute. If it expanded on the existing system, it did. But again, I'm not aware of if there was any monies between the two. None of the documents that I've been able to source, including all the LPAT decisions, do not mention the existing water system, only that Tribute will construct the water system to support Tribute's development.
That's absolutely correct. But we shouldn't have had to pay a single penny for that because our water system was working fine at the time to support the people that were on it. So we've paid all that money out all these years. Every single taxpayer in this township had to pay into, and here we're going to get into, but everybody's paying into this water loan debt that we had out that's accumulated over the years. Okay. Yet Tribute didn't have to pay a single cent to hook up into our water system. And I find that absolutely unreal. Unreal. Anyway, that was another issue.
And I can appreciate that, but I'm pretty sure Ms. Anderson just answered the question.
Yeah, they had to build a water tower, which is a reservoir.
There is nothing in the subdivision agreement. There was nothing in the subdivision, sorry, there was nothing in the LPAT decision or OMB at that time to indicate that the developer had to repay the municipality $1. I have Councillor Cox and then Councillor Cox.
Through the chair, I didn't have a chance to also send my thanks to everyone and all the staff involved in creating this report because it is really detailed. And I think the report and the discussion goes along as to why I brought it up. We've been here beating a dead horse. It's part of my language for a long time here on who said what, where we go wrong, who paid where. And I really think we're down with we got two options. You can either be part of the problem or be part of the solution. How do we move forward? If you want to keep living in the past and, stirring things up and talking about, what happened and when it happened and who did what, this report outlines everything we can learn from it. So let's be part of the solution and let's move forward united in order to make sure Everett doesn't, or a different part of town, but Everett doesn't become with the same issues that Colgan has and councils in the future are arguing about who did what, when, where. That's all I'm trying to put here. I want to put this to rest because we spent enough time as a council on this topic, but there are lessons to be learned. So here we are. That's all. So thank you to staff and let's move forward.
Thank you, Councillor Cox. I'm sure in 10 years, maybe a council will be arguing what we decided today too. So I don't know if that ever does go away, to be honest. Councillor O'Leary.
I want to just say that I fully support Adam's. It's very logical that what he's stating, and we should adopt what he's saying. But I also want to make a statement with regards to all the decisions that were made in all this documentation we're talking about. We, as a council, had been relieved of all basic responsibilities because of an issue or issues prior to that date. Our job we were not allowed to make decisions. We were only to stamp the decisions that the OLT made. It wasn't our job, and maybe there were some financial issues that were unfortunately mistakes were made, but like Adam says, we have to drive on. We can't keep beating a dead horse? Yeah, we can't keep beating the dead horse here. Anyways, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Councillor Borzos.
Thank you. Through the chair, Councillor Cox took the wind out of my sail because I was going to say that, and I'm so ever mad at him for not letting me do so first. But I will do my second wind, I guess, here. And I appreciate the mayor admitting to some mistakes that were made, and And I agree with Adam. No sense of living in the past or procrastinating on what happened. I mean, that it is passé. We're not going to be able to change that. We need to move forward. However, I think the big lesson from this to be, for me anyways, and I hope for the rest of the council as well, is that we do need transparency. We do need to see what the developers are doing with council staff. Hence, I've been trying to ask for maybe a bit of not a registry, but a little monthly report on just in 2 lines, what was done and who was talked to and who was here talking to whom. Not in highlight, not in great details, but in highlights. But anyways, point is to short circuit this whole speech here. I'm just concerned that those mistakes that were made in the past will, well, actually, I don't want to be concerned that they will be made when Everett comes online and Everett will become what the township hopes it will be. And so for that, I think we need to forget about the past. We need to move forward, but we need to take the burden and the responsibility from the past and project it to Everett and make sure that we do the right thing. We sit down, we talk about it, and we are there. We are not excusing ourselves for making responsibilities or stamping or this and that. That's all I can say. I know we don't have much time in this council, like 1 year left, and that's reality is not a long time for a council, but I think there's still a lot of work for us to do, and we can accomplish it if we work together, not like individually and pulling this way or that way, or this guy will talk to that developer behind the rest of the council. Thank you very much. I will ride the dead horse to Everett.
All right, so thank you for the comments. We do have a recommendation that staff report BLDG 2025-004 dated October 8, 2025 regarding Colgan Crossing subdivision agreement status update be received. Do I have a mover for that?
Actually, could I make an amendment to that, please?
I'm putting the motion on the floor first then.
Okay.
Councillor Cox, and I will second that. Sorry, so that was moved by Councillor Cox, seconded by Mayor Anderson. And do you have a amendment?
Yeah, and further that staff answer all questions asked by residents with regards to this report.
Okay, that's not germane to the question, and I'm not going to permit that. Councillor Meadows?
What do you mean it's not germane to the question?
If the resident would like to prepare a deputation to come to council, staff would prepare a report based on council's recommendation at that time. But public comments that are submitted don't form any part of council report. So we've had 2 deputations. We've had 2 deputations where we've had residents come and council has given direction to staff to prepare a report. We do not do that off of public comment.
Well, I've had people come from Colgan Development that have also put up all these questions, and they don't seem to get answered. So
then I suggest you take that offline with the CEO.
Well, I'll take it up.
Okay. So on the question,
can I have a recorded vote on this, please?
Sure. Madam Clerk, we've received a request for a recorded vote on 13.1.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Councillor Meadows, in favor or against?
Against.
Councillor Borzos, in favor or against?
In favor.
Councillor Cox, in favor or against?
In favor.
Councillor O'Leary, in favor or against?
In favor.
Councillor Simpson, in favor or against?
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Laux, in favor or against?
In favor.
And Mayor Anderson, in favor or against?
In favor?
That's 6 in favor, 1 against.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-1. All right, so we're on to 13.2, which is staff report BLDG 2025, which is with regards to the quarterly building activity report for May 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2025. Councillor Meadows, I believe you pulled this.
Actually, I think I've had all the questions have been answered on that one. So thanks.
Okay. Since it's on staff reports, any other comments or questions with regards to this Councillor Cox. 13.2, the building activity report. Councillor Cox?
Through the chair, I believe I was one of the permits. And I'd like to say that I was, our staff are fabulous to work with, very thorough, great at communication, and it was a good experience. So, kudos.
Any other council questions, comments? Okay. Mover for the recommendation, please. Deputy Mayor Locke, seconded by Councillor Simpson. That's staff report BLDG 2025-003 dated October 8th, 2025 regarding quarterly building activity report from May 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2025 be received. All those in favor? That is carried. And I believe the next item was 13.4, which is the planning activity report. Councillor Meadows?
Yeah, I was just curious with regards to the planning report. Was it lighter than usual for this particular quarter?
Mr. Merrick? Sorry, can I ask?
Because I thought it was a little.
Is it lighter in volume of?
The volume. It seemed like it was a little lower than what we usually get for planning.
Thank you.
Through you, your worship. Only being here for 3 months, it's hard to sort of speak to the past, but I think the applications were steady, whether it was significantly lower than past quarters. I can't really say. I know that we didn't have like a lot of zoning bylaw amendments or official plan amendments, which we've seen in the past. However, we have pre-consulted on those types of applications,
right,
and we're anticipating seeing those in the coming months.
Okay. No, it just looked a little lighter than what I usually see in planning, because I know they're always busy, and I just want to commend your staff. They do a great job.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Councillor Meadows.
Any other questions through to planning? Okay, well, I have you here too, and as you mentioned, Greg, that you've been here for 3 months. I was not here at the first meeting, so welcome and aboard. I do want to appreciate the comments that we are getting in the planning updates as well, though the site plans, the additional information there. I think it does keep council and the public very well informed on what the department is doing. So thank you very much for that update, and to Kartik for that as well. All right, a mover for this resolution. I have Councillor Cox and seconded by Councillor Borzos. That's staff report PLA 2025-018 dated October 8, 2025 regarding planning activity report for May 1, 2025 to August 31st, 2025 be received. All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, so that concludes staff reports. So then we're on to item 15, which is correspondence. And we had one item as well pulled off the consent agenda, 13.6, which is the correspondence from Minister Todd McCarthy with regards to the blue box system. And I believe Councillor Meadows, you had that one as well.
Yes, thank you, your worship. Excuse my ignorance, but what are pros? I have no idea what pros are.
Responsible organizations.
So they are the ones that are paying for the collection of blue box service in Ontario now. So they would be all the box chains, just makers of Coke, all the suppliers and producers of products that are recyclable in Ontario are now paying into a fund, which this fund is contracted as an organization to collect blue box in Ontario.
So how is this going to affect us municipally? Are we?
Well,
Sure. So, do you want to take some of this?
No.
Okay.
the organization.
So, County Council received an update yesterday on this as well, and I do believe I circulated information to Council last week with regards to this item as well. So, as of January 1st, the County of Simcoe, as the municipality, will no longer be collecting blue box in the county. The shift has been from the province to these RPOs and Circular Materials Ontario, who will be the contractor for this project. They will be now collecting blue box from every single residence in Ontario. What happens now, though, is that the legislation doesn't permit the collection of IC&I, which is industrial and commercial, industrial, institutional, and commercial buildings and businesses in our communities. So, for example, churches, places of worship, legions, municipal buildings, libraries, if we had it, I'm just speaking generally here, and other commercial enterprises in the township will not receive curbside blue box collection from January 1st on. At the present time, there is no remedy to that situation, and that is what Minister McCarthy has explained in this letter, is that they went back to the RPOs and said, we would like you to consider adopting a program where they would collect all recyclable material across Ontario. And the ministers indicated that they received a response saying they would not do that, and they have no legislative authority to direct them to do it. So that was the change here, that they were trying to implement a collection system for all Ontarians, and that's not going to happen.
Supplemental. So all the taxpayers paid for all these blue bins that have gone out through our community.
Correct.
And another organization is going to be picking them up, picking all the blue boxes up. What happens now when, let's say, nobody shows up en route to pick up the blue box? Who do we call?
So there are, as of January 1st, there will be, well, probably before then, there will be numbers, and our team here at the township will make sure that that is published as well. But there will be contact numbers to contact Circular Materials of Ontario, who will be collecting materials across Ontario or in the county. So I'll go to Ms. Reid as well, just for clarification on some of this as well.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Council, I did receive confirmation the other day from Circular Materials that the Blue Box Pickup Day will remain the same for the township. They are slowly rolling out additional information, which we will share to the website and social media as we receive it.
And supplemental, since you were on County Council with talking about this issue, is the regular garbage going to be picked up once a week, or once every other week? Then is that the way it's going to happen?
Yes, so there'd be no other changes to collection systems in the county. So it is anticipated that blue box and organics will be collected 1 week, which Circular Materials will be collecting the blue box. The county will be collecting the organics. So you will see 2 trucks down a road on a day, and then the garbage and garbage and organics the following week will continue to be the same. Yes, so there's no planned changes to the collection dates for either garbage or blue box.
Okay, thank you.
And while we're on this topic, I might as well just say that the county has had thorough reports. So to everybody here at council and to residents, we certainly do encourage you to use your organics bin. We expect the county, I think yesterday the number was for institutional and commercial businesses, there's 18% of recyclable material in the garbage currently. It is anticipated that if they don't have that service anymore, that it's probably going to be higher. But to everyone, I think we've lost sight sometimes a wee bit on this. Is years ago, this township was faced with the establishment of a new landfill, and that was vigorously fought. And Adjala-Tosorontio was one of the leaders in actually implementing the 1 bag limit. Was the first municipality to ever do that for garbage, and then certainly initiated the organics and in diversion in the county of Simcoe. So it's been pressed upon us a lot of times at the county of Simcoe that we could do a better job recycling and a better job filling our organics bin rather than putting it in the garbage. Because I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have 7 years left of Ontario landfills. And then we will have no landfills left in Ontario, and we will be shipping it mostly to the States, if the border's still open. Councillor Cox, did you have a question?
Not so much a comment. I mean, a question, more of a comment. So save the environment with your compost bins, but we're going to send 2 diesel trucks out same day, right? Guess there's a lot more ozone left than landfills, right? I guess that's the whole point. Makes no sense to me.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the concept here is the county of Simcoe has been a far superior in making sure that they remove compostable materials from the landfill. So I don't think other municipalities are doing the same, and the provinces took it upon themselves to say you have to do better. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why they've changed it. But you can take your comments to Minister McCarthy, if you like, about the double trucks. Councillor O'Leary.
So they're changing it now. They're going to send 2 trucks out?
The county of Simcoe will no longer be collecting the blue box from your curb.
No, but they send 1 truck out.
So
I watched them.
Well,
they put your garbage in,
yes.
then they put your green box, throw it in on top of it.
So they have different compartments, separate compartments, and they very well may continue with that process if there's negotiations that, for example, Miller is the contractor. If Miller decides to do both contracts for the county and for circular materials, they may just put that contract together and say we will be running 1 truck and collecting it all in 1 day. So I think there's opportunities for efficiencies between the 2. Any further questions on this item? All right. The recommendation is moved by Deputy Mayor Laux, seconded by Councillor Meadows, that the correspondence from the Honourable Todd McCarthy, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, dated October 1, 2025, regarding blue box systems be received. All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, so that takes us on to item 16, which is bylaws. We have 1 bylaw this evening, 2025-051, and it's to appoint municipal auditor. And the recommendation is that bylaw 2025-051, being a bylaw to appoint a municipal auditor, Baker Tilly SGB LLP, be enacted. The mover, please. Councillor Cox, and I'll second that motion as well. Any questions on the bylaw? All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, so we do have 1 notice motion printed on the agenda this evening. And I will read this, so please bear with me here. It is substantial. And if I do make a mistake, you can correct me because I'm... I'm assuming, Councillor Meadows, you will be moving this motion. The motion reads, whereas the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio accepted $35 million from the province for water and wastewater improvements in Everett that will include 4,010 new homes. And whereas Council has received a memo from the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio staff stating there are Ontario developers ready to enter into a joint partnership to fund and construct a new wastewater treatment plant to support 4,010 mixed residential development units, along with the existing population of Everett, mainly New Horizons. And whereas Council has not been provided any updated reports to confirm or approve the outflow location to support the original 1,966 home development, the New Horizon development, and the newly proposed 2,044 home West Everett developments. And whereas the last Everett Council update meeting, special council meeting held on March 28th, 2025, with the update with staff and consultants confirmed that there is no secured outfall location for the current planned development. And whereas Council has not been informed with any formal updated meetings with the developers, staff, or engineers, which would keep Council informed on any potential negotiations or updates on these current developments, one of which we have been told for years is shovel-ready. And whereas the Township has already accepted the funding, which has a start date of 2026 and targeted operational date of 2028 for the first 2,000 homes. Now therefore be it resolved that Council directs staff to provide a report to Council no later than December 2025 regular Council meeting to confirm and answer the below questions to be open and transparent with the residents of Everett and our community. 1, what is the total number of homes proposed for Everett, as only 1,966 homes have been approved, while the staff memo states 4,010 units not including New Horizons. 2, when did the staff meetings on Everett West occur? What SMT discussions and new master servicing plan approvals for the 4,010 units taken place, as the current MSP is over 10 years old and the environmental assessment is also outdated? 3, where are the balance 2,044 homes being built and on which lot in Everett? 4, what is the current status of the outfall location in Everett? 5, why was the funding of $35 million accepted when there is no outfall location secured? 6, are there any negotiations going on for any outfall location? Who on council asked for these negotiations to proceed? If staff are in negotiations, please provide us an update on the situation of what's being discussed, conditions, perimeters of the deal. 7, why are council members not involved with the negotiation process? Are there more than one possible outflow areas posed? If so, where? 8, if this development is shovel-ready, as past staff have previously stated on many occasions in public meetings and to council, why are we dealing with an outflow location that has not yet been secured? 9, can our current road structure handle the new proposed traffic volumes? 10, will our current fire department be able to handle the new population growth, and what costs will it take to adequately update our emergency services? 11, what impact will new infrastructure requirements have on our town's ratepayers, large tax increases? 12, is this infrastructure still based on 2.67 people per household, knowing the changes to the new provincial policy statement? Is infrastructure being undersized for the population? 13, who are these joint partners and what are stipulations of the partnership to the township? 14, is there enough potable water to support this development based on 2.67 people, when records show it should be doubled, in some cases anywhere from 4 to 6 people per household, like Colgan's actual numbers? And further, having a meeting with all parties involved would enable council and residents to receive more clarity on these developments in Everett. This would avoid the problem past council had with the clarity on issues with the Colgan development being approved. Council has a right to have all relevant information with regards to proceeding with this development prior to making any decision, as our council still has voting rights while representing the township's residents, even with strong mayor powers being enforced by the province. So that is moved by Councillor Meadows. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Borzos. Okay, Councillor Meadows, back to you for first comment.
Yeah, as we discussed earlier, I don't want to see this kind of goal.
You, Mike.
Thank you. Like I said earlier, with all the discussion that went on with the Colgan development, I don't want to see this council caught in the crosshairs again. I think we have more than capable staff to be able to help us through this process. The staff we have has been basically, picked by this council. So we've done a good job. And I think we should be part of the process. And again, I don't feel like I'm part of a process. We've had a couple little memos sent to us in one meeting for something that's a continual thing that's being developed. I haven't even seen this whole development on paper. And we need to have this sit down to see what this township's going to look like after this development. Roads, schools, like we're at that point. I've been told this development's shovel ready for 12 years. The earthworks agreement has already gone through for this development. When I said 12 years ago that we're putting the cart before the horse, again, the horse comes up. I don't want to be beating a dead horse. So I just think that I don't think that we're part of this process. And I know we have new staff and everything, but we have to be involved. Because I know there's meetings going on. We've been told there's meetings going on. And I feel we're being left in the dark again. And I don't want these last minute reports coming to count. This has to be done now. This is at this stage now. We got to have this signed right now. I want to be able to read something before we sign it. So that's the reason why I put this motion forward. And I truly hope that this council will back my motion. I really do. If you don't, that's totally up to you. But I'm just saying, I pray that you will support my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nettles. I'll take privilege, and then I might go to CEO just for some comment as well. But I don't think anyone is being left in the dark. This council has seen every active development proposal that's currently on the books. So we've all seen the Barzil and R&M developments in Everett, and those are the only two current developments in the community of Everett. So if in such time that someone comes in and puts an application in front of us, because we've had a preliminary presentation, council will have that discussion. I will also comment that I agree that we could certainly get staff to prepare a report. I believe the CAO actually did provide a memo to all members of council last week or the week before with regards to this as an update. And that was an attempt because I had received multiple requests by members of council to have a bit of an update. And that update was provided to council for your information. So the information I think that's being asked for is captured in a lot of that report. And then the only thing that I would caution with this motion is the fact that we have never negotiated any deals or subdivision agreements or proposals at this council table in a public forum. And council well knows that that's not the proper process. And so I do take exception that there are a couple paragraphs in here that were with regards to wanting to know what the negotiations are and that council be involved in these negotiations when everyone knows that they're not being discussed here at this council table. So those are discussions to be with staff and our consultants. So I do believe that there are, if we do proceed with this motion, there are some amendments that have to be made so that we are not putting ourselves into a spot where we're having information presented to the public that may not be relevant to the public and or may cause harm, which we talked about a few moments ago, to us down the road in future negotiations with anyone looking to develop. So I will go to the CAO for some additional comment on this and then go to council for other questions or comments. Mr. Calamitu.
Thank you, Worship. Through you, there are a number of questions here on this motion. Some would be coming in different particular reports coming to council, whether they have come through an asset management plan or will be coming through an updated DC's report, whether they be coming through the Dreyer report with regard to the roads and what they have. So there are a number of milestones which the process comes to council for these notifications, for this information, and for some of them for approval. Just to point out right now that the some of the lands in Everett have gone through NOLT process, and so there are some stipulations that have already been hammered out in the past. Again, I wasn't there, so I'd have to educate myself on exactly what those were. As we move forward, however, there are other milestones that need to be moved forward. I would, just to echo your comments, that the lands that were not included in the OLT, the decision with regard to other developments in Everett have no standing. There was a report earlier here on council with regard to the planning report noting the pre-applications. That has not even happened, so that number doesn't include anything in that other area of Everett. What we can do, though, again, depending on, I've done development in many municipalities, and each council likes to handle it slightly differently. So again, learning from the conversations, as Councillor Cox said, learning from what the conversations are around the table, we can make some adjustments to the normal process that I've been used to in other municipalities. So we can absolutely do that and have that additional communication. I do want to point out the difference, however, between certain theoreticals and how to actually prove certain numbers. With any development process, there are a number of processes within that larger process that have to be done, whether they be, as explained previously this evening, hydrogeological testing with regard to putting in test wells. That process actually takes around 10 to 12 months. If it's certain calculations, similar capacity studies of the rivers, there are how much flow an actual house uses. Some of those numbers will be theoretical until structures are actually built and flow starts happening and we can measure actuals. And so we just want to point out that there are many checks and balances throughout the process that every municipality has and every municipality goes through to determine what is best for the municipality. And there are many milestones with regard to approvals that do come and have to come back to council for council approval to do that. So as we move through the development processes, we'll be coming back to council multiple touch points. So I just wanted to point that out with regard to a generalization of these processes. What we'll also come back with for council is basically maybe a flow chart explaining or easily explaining the different processes within the development process and all the different checks and balances, all the different studies that need to be done, and the other touch points to come back to council with.
Thank you. So we'll go to Councillor Borzos as a seconder if you have comments.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair. I don't know if this is a coincidence or not for the motion and for 13.1 on the consent agenda, but to me, kind of they tie into one another. And I think this one here, to me, this motion from Councillor Meadows nicely captures the framework that we should be operating within to avoid what we just discovered on 13.1 with the Colgan subdivision and any of those mistakes or little things that shouldn't have been done, but it was done. So yes, we will need to make some modifications and changes to the motion, but I am wholeheartedly and fully support it, and I think it will bring us into a different level. And just as Mr. CEO explained, I would so welcome a flow chart. I've been dying to see one, so to speak, where I can actually visualize and see what's going on. And I would take it a step further and maybe flip the flow chart around if it's large enough and put the entire Everett North on it for as far as a map goes, so I can actually visualize what our expectation or what our plans are, what the developer's plans are. And then we can truly be part of the planning process as opposed to just being bystanders. Thank you.
I will give the opportunity to maybe Chris or Greg, but I don't think the intention was the flow chart with Everett. It was a planning application process, if I'm mistaken. So maybe, Greg, do you want to handle that one as to what you would see would be coming to council for planning orientation type thing?
Through your worship, yeah. So what we've been discussing as staff is putting together sort of a process flow chart, sort of from the beginning of the application process to final approval and registration of a subdivision and every step in between. So starting with pre-consultation, moving on to a formal application, what type of submission requirements are included in a complete application, such as those Hydro-G reports, planning justification, traffic, archaeology, the full gamut of supporting studies and reports, then on to deeming the application complete, and then the circulation process internally and externally, the public engagement process, the public meeting process. So every single step along the way, and then, potentially even getting to a point where a decision is being contemplated, and if it was to be a positive decision, negative decision, who has appeal rights, if it goes to the OLT, what are the next steps? So it would be sort of the full options for the entire process.
Okay, but just to confirm, it's not any particular development.
No,
This would just be, this is a high level. If an application came in tomorrow for a development, this is the process it would follow.
That is correct. It would be a general process. It was not specific to Everett.
Okay. Mr. CO.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. And we do have on our websites areas with regard to different development areas. And so if Everett West comes along, or the area that wasn't included in the OLT decision comes along, any of those reports, would be posted there also to be made public. And again, to Councillor Borzos's a note and a comment, and to yours, we actually haven't seen anything with regard to that particular area, what the maps would look like. It's just right now just a general area of land ownership, and we actually haven't even had that discussion yet, or seen any of those documents yet.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And again, I'll give the floor back to Councillor Borzos, but I just want to clarify, I think the intention was the overarching theme of how a subdivision agreement or how a subdivision application works through the processes through the township, and not particularly, we're not going to see dates and times and discussions of Everett on a flow chart. So just wanted to clarify that's the intention with the CAO and staff. So Councillor Borzos, if you'd like to.
Thank you through the chair. And I suspected and I accept that. However, what's better way to demonstrate the effectiveness of such flow chart than use a practical application such as Everett, being simply the largest development in the township in the past and the foreseeable future, even without Everett West. Because, it's going to be, right now, as we know it's going to be about twice the size of Colgan, or 2.5 times the Colgan. So why not use it as we build the flow chart, then give it some practical application and show the Everett steps in that. And I think that would go a long way for everybody, just simply because that way we see what can actually do and what it means, rather than just looking at hypotheticals. Thank you.
Thank you. And I agree. I guess I'm just trying to frame this myself, because we've actually went through the entire process for the Everett development. So there is no flow chart to be made. Like, we're in the process of a subdivision agreement and earthworks agreements and those building permits. So we went through the entire subdivision agreement, we went through the entire subdivision process for Everett. So we can certainly look at it at a practical standpoint. I'm just saying it's done.
We can apply it retroactively. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I think the intention is that if we get any development application within the township, that's so that everyone on council understands the framework of how, from day one to the execution of a subdivision agreement, we see it. That there's a process, and everybody's comfortable where that process lies. Chris, did you want to comment?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. As similar to how our council reports that staff write up that identify where in the strategic plan alignment there is, what we can do is, as we move through the processes, we can point to that chart to say, this is where this particular process lies within that flow continuum. So we can absolutely identify as we move forward, and as things come to fruition, that we can point out where in that process it is. But to the mayor's point, our flow chart will be the one that we would give and give to the public too, because I think it's also important that the public have an understanding of the full process and all the checks and balances that are within that process. So as we move forward through any presentation, any study, any of those reports, we can point back to that particular flow chart as the councillor mentions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I just don't understand the resistance to apply Everett to this flow chart. That's my closing comment. I don't need to beat this horse anymore to death than what it is, but it's simply developing and designing a flow chart. That's great. You have the actual product, but then the application is where it really actually will shine, which would be Everett, because there is no other, like both of you pointed out, there are no other developments at the moment. So even if it's retroactive somewhat, one could argue if it's retroactive, why is there no shovel in the ground yet? But so
Because it's a flow chart.
No,
I'm shovel in the ground if there's a flow chart.
No, but the flow chart would show where the shovel would go into the ground. That's the whole point. But anyways, thank you for the opportunity.
And I appreciate the comment. I'm just, yeah. I'm not sure. Like I said, we've already went through some of the development application process with Rondex. So I'm just trying to struggle here as we've went through the processes twice here. So, well, I believe it is a struggle. Councilor O'Leary.
One thing to the chair, one thing that was never discussed, has never been discussed, is the fact that Everett's location. Everett is approximately 7 miles from any infrastructure with regards to groceries, industrial lands, and doctors, bank facilities. So I think as a township, we should be choosing an area that we are going to designate as our industrial commercial district that will be developed, so that we choose where our industrial development's going to be, not some developer, and it's not going to be haphazard. It's going to be top shelf. We're going to allot, say, 50 to 75 acres, because if you go to 2,000 homes, like 5 people per home, that's 10,000 people. So 10,000 people is bigger than Alliston. And look at how the construction of Alliston is like all over the map. We want to be able to centralize everything. That way we get to structure the roads the way we need the roads, and the directions and how people get in and out of the subdivisions. I think that as a council, we should be designating a specific area that we want to rezone commercial area or commercial industrial, because who knows, maybe some manufacturer wants to move up there and he's going to need 5 acres or 10 acres. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just provide the comments as well that's why we're going through the official plan amendment right now, and we have a zoning bylaw amendment. And if there is an application received from to the township on any future development, then staff will be looking at all those issues. Councillor Simpson.
Through the chair. So with regard to the educational component, which some members have been talking about, I think there is some merit to that. I mean, it's certainly helpful for everybody to know what the process is and procedure and things like that, for those who may not be aware of it or maybe haven't been paying attention during this term of council. But with regard to the application and the notice of motion that's here, it's with regard to an application that was made to the to the province for 4,010 units. So that's what that is about. We've got development happening, and council isn't necessarily in the room on all of these. And certainly they don't need to be in the room for everything, but we certainly need to be updated with regards to how we want things to go. With the 1,966 houses, we know what that looks like. We know what the plan is, how it's going to look, where it's going to be, all of that. In December of last year, we had a presentation where the planner for development came forward and said, hey guys, we want to talk to you about visioning for Everett West. It's October now. We haven't gotten back to them. And I think there needs to be those conversations. Well, I don't know that we've gotten back to them. I've certainly see here that there's 4,010 units when that application for money from the province was asked. So certainly somebody had a conversation. It wasn't council. So, you know, when I see things like that, I think, hey, look, we have an opportunity here. Everett West has come forward and said, hey, we want to have this discussion with you guys. We want to do some of this visioning work with you. And I certainly respect and understand that, you know, there are going to be limiting factors. There are going to be numbers that we don't know. There are the known unknowns, if you will. And some of that is going to take some time. And certainly, you know, with regard to this motion, I'm sure that Bob would have no issue with moving it back a month or two to get some of those known unknowns to be verified, right? Yeah. And the other thing is, like Councillor O'Leary just mentioned, you know, we need to plan out where are those commercial areas going to be? Are we going to have a commercial corridor? Are we going to have additional schools? Are we going to have, you know, additional parks, parkland allocations? Are we going to have community centers? Certainly with the 1966 units that are coming forward, I believe the numbers that were presented to council was 6,000 to 8,000 people. So just with the Farside subdivision, you're going to have potentially up to 10,000 people in Everett, right? And then with Everett West, I believe a question was asked of the applicant, or not the applicant, but the planner for the developers. And we asked, well, how many people are you looking at in Everett West? And is it 10,000? Is it 20,000? And, you know, they didn't know. They kind of left it blank because it could be any one of those numbers, right? So this is where council needs to come in and say, hey, this is what we want to see here. This is how we want to see it. And have those conversations now and not later when, you know, we're just rubber stamping what the developers are telling us they want, right? So that, I think we ought to be proactive, exactly. Thank you.
And so again, appreciate all the comments. I think what we're losing sight of a wee bit here is what's concrete in front of us right now. So we all know on this council that there are 3 subdivision developments currently on the books. 2 R&M, 1 Barzal. We know the population. We've sat through the OLT. We've sat through negotiations. So we've all got that. And we've all got the information that we're going to upsize the wastewater treatment plant to accommodate for that development. And what is still the unknown is future growth. And there's been no determination made whatsoever. So this is, again, what I'm looking at. We know what we know today. Everything else is theoretical. Every other piece of information that we have here today that we're talking about is in theory. So we know we have a development. We know we have a developer who's going to develop 3 plans of subdivision with a wastewater treatment plant, which we've said we want to upsize to accommodate for future growth, to make sure that there is no issues in the future of having to retrofit a wastewater treatment plant 15 times because we need to add more growth or more trains or headworks or whatever. So we've made the investment now to do that. And that is part of the 35 million. That is why the township submitted a grant application for 35 million to build an upsized wastewater treatment plant to accommodate it once and for all. So there is no issue of having to come back and sit here and it's going to cost, instead of spending 20 million now and then coming back and costing another 25 or 30 million to retrofit something that we've built. So that's the intention, and I'm pretty sure everyone around this table knows that information. So the other information is all in theory, and I must stress that, again, the CIO provided an email to council because he wanted to make sure that council was up to date on the information. So I think council's been provided the information that is relevant at the time right now, because everything else is in theory. And until the process moves further down the track here, Chris can't come to you and say, we're thinking about doing this. We want to know what's assured to start this process for development. Now, if Everett West wants to come in and have a discussion as to a secondary plan and engage with council on that vision, by all means. They also have to submit an application, though, before it gets into our realm. Because until that, it's not. So they're the ones that are putting things in place. And to Councilor O'Leary's point, we've made it very clear through OPA 15 that we wanted to see good commercial, good parks in a complete community within the community of Everett. And we've seen some of that already with Mr. Shikadans with his two developments at Farside, because they've added trails around the entire development. They've added green space. There are commercial opportunities. So I think we have some opportunities for us to certainly engage more, but I see he using the word struggle, but I'm struggling again tonight to understand what information more council needs, because there is no decision to be made at the present time. And I've been adamant. I've met with each and every one of you the last 2 weeks. And my number one thing, and I've said this probably once a month to you for the last 3 years, we have staff in this office every day. Pick up your phone, come in, have a conversation. If you want to know something, you have a question, come in and ask, because they will tell you. So, we're going to sit here for an hour discussing a topic that's probably not going to get us any more information tonight at all. But we could have phoned last week and got a complete rundown of what the plan is. And to be honest, Chris provided that by email. So Chris, I don't know if you want to add any more to that.
Thank you, through your worship. As mentioned, obviously staff take this as a learning experience. We'll learn and understand what council is looking for. I did, and again, as we move through, we can discuss these. I did, however, want to clarify and mention a number that's been floating around. It was mentioned just now, the 4010 units. Just to be clear, that the funding that was provided is for the 1966 units. There is possibility to, as the mayor mentioned, to expand up to an unknown number right now. And again, that number will be determined through many different checks and balances with regard to some of the studies previously mentioned, like assimilative capacity study, like hydro-G study, like road study. So there are a number of things that need to be done that need to be proven before that particular a number or the future number is solidified. So until then, you're correct, Mr. Mayor, that we don't know exactly what that number is. But right now, an OLT has approval for the 1966. And again, my apologies for not knowing exactly what's happening at OLT, as I still have to familiarize myself with that. But that's what the funding is meant for. Just wanted to clear that up and note, obviously, that we will be as you mentioned. I'm always available. Planning staff is always available also, and from council's discussion around the table this evening, obviously that we will take those as our marching orders, and as things progress, we would come forward like a visioning exercise as an example. I do also want to reiterate that we are, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, that we are currently going through an OP process. We do have the draft up. We're going to be having public meetings. We're going to be having PICs for the public. A lot of information to go onto the website. And again, that is where certain aspects of what Councillor O'Leary was talking about will be determined. We also, as mentioned before, have other studies coming through with regard to roads and what we would need for future. Again, and later on in the process, the larger process, there's a secondary plan process, which is one of the first ones that developers come in. That again would come back to council for the visioning exercise, and to Councillor O'Leary's points, that's where we get into more and more of the particular details of that land that they would be coming forward with. So that none of that has happened as of yet. And again, I do encourage all members of council, but also all members of the public to come in, educate themselves about the OP process that is happening. There is something that we can sink our teeth into because there is information there. There will be maps. Again, to Councillor O'Leary's point, it will be identified. And through good planning practices and good planning studies, we will absolutely put those thoughts through the analysis and through the ringer to ensure that we have a proper mix here per councillor's vision, what we would like to see within our town. As mentioned previously, this is an exciting time for Adjala-Tos. We are right at the beginning of certain processes like the OP. It is time for council to let us know, and for the public to let us know what the vision is, and for staff to then take that vision of the public and of council and to make sure that it comes to reality in an appropriate way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calabito. I have Councillor Cox next.
Yeah, through the chair, I'm here paying attention. Are we going to get somewhere in this conversation? Because we're going around in circles, subtle jabs happening, and people ask are we going to get anywhere with this motion? Because so far from what I see is we're just going down a dead end road here. So the horse is really listen, man, right? I tell you, man, right?
I appreciate that, Councillor Cox, but I do have Councillor Meadows that wishes to speak too. Councillor Meadows?
Yeah, like you said, there's milestones that have to be done. For 12 years, I've heard this development is shovel ready. So there's milestones now in front of us, okay? So this development is not shovel ready, and we should stop using that term as shovel ready because it's not. Okay, let's get rid of that off the table right now. We don't have an outflow location, yet we secured a $35 million loan for
it's a $35 million grant.
Thank you. Sorry, $35 million grant that's got to be started by next year. If you build it, they will come. Therefore, there's got to be plans in place for this. Sorry, there's got to be plans in place for where this new location's going to be going, or this old location's going to go. Any location, because we don't know where the location is. We kind of do, but it's not for sure. I'd like to know for sure where this location is before we build a wastewater treatment plant and then have to pipe water to it. Again, you're putting the cart before the horse, even though the horse is dead. I don't know. I'm just saying, let's get down to business. Let's talk about it. Let's have a council meeting and I want to see the plans of this whole development put forward in front of me, because if we're signing a subdivision agreement real soon, which we should be, because it's shovel ready, then all the documents and all the information should be there and ready at our disposal. So bring it to us, show it to us, give it to us. That's all I'm asking. That's all the motion's asking. And it shouldn't be that hard to do. We didn't do it with Colgan, but let's do it with Everett, please. Please.
But again, we have the information in front of us. In fact, on the planning report this evening, said that staff was working on a template subdivision agreement that they will be showing council soon. So if everybody's reading the reports, it's in the report indicating that staff are working on a template for council to see a subdivision agreement. That's a template that will be used in future subdivision agreements. Staff are working on things, and if you look through the information that we are presented, we have OPs, we have an open house, you have the opportunity to review the OP, you can comment on it. We've had in-camera sessions we've looked at the plans of subdivision for the far site developments. Everybody knows where every house is going in that development. Every single plan of subdivision has been in front of council and has been approved by council and the OLT. We've seen every piece of documentation with regards. We have not had a subdivision agreement come to council because one has not been fully drafted. We have not had I believe we're going to see a new earthworks agreement come to council because the last one has expired. So there are going to be opportunities for council to have items coming. And if you're asking me why I know all this, is because I come in and have a conversation with staff and understand what the next processes are in this process. Because it's important. But we are getting the information. It's coming to us every single month in our report, so we have this information in front of us. So, like I said, Councillor Meadows, I support the concept. If you'd like a report from the CAO and staff in December on these questions, by all means. He's not going to be able to comment, and I hope, well, I'm going to look to him right now. He's not going to comment on negotiations because he's not going to harm the township. So if you're,
we should be dealing with that in camera then.
so then you're asking for a full in-camera report then.
If it's in camera where it's needed to be done, then yes.
Well, you didn't
then
ask.
we should be.
Well, you didn't ask for that then.
Well,
So-
I asked for the reports to be done. Anyway, we can go over and, like you said,
Well, it's
beat this with a dead horse.
Well, it certainly is
Vote on it or
because
we're not going to vote on it.
because there's 14 paragraphs in here, and quite frankly, I would take out 10 of them right now, and I would put a motion on the floor to do that if I wanted to. But what I'm concerned here is you're asking for information tonight, which half of it was already covered in the memo that was sent by the CAO. You get the report in December, and you're going to come back with 15 more questions on the information that you just received.
Well, I'm not going to comment
Where is
on
that?
the letter.
Where is that going to? What is that going to solve? We've sat here countless times and discussed information, and then you're not content with the information or the answers you receive, and then you ask 15 more questions because this notice of motion came directly after you received the email memo from the CAO. All you had to do was come in and have a conversation with the CAO to get your information firsthand if you had serious questions with regards to this. And then you could have asked them, what do you think about explaining a bit more to council? But no, we're sitting here for an hour discussing whether or not a report's relevant. And to be honest, you're going to get maybe a report back with questions that are going to be unanswered and or the fact that it's going to result in another 15 to 20 more questions. And then next month, we're going to be sitting here and talking about 15 more questions. And then the resident sends questions in and we're talking about those questions. So at some point, we have to figure out what we're doing here as to what information you need to make a decision on something that hasn't even come to council yet. So we talk constantly about trusting staff and doing their job. You've mentioned that twice tonight already. I trust staff in doing their jobs. They're having these discussions with the developer in Everett that we've approved, that's on the books, having these discussions. When a subdivision agreement is prepared, it will be presented to council. When other agreements are prepared, it will be presented to council. And council can certainly have input on that discussion. But as I mentioned earlier, this is all theoretical. And I like to deal with facts and information that comes to this council. And until that happens, I'm content with staff doing their job, which is what they're supposed to do. I'll go back to you for one final comment.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from, but I tell you something. If a noob goes in and asks certain questions, and Mr. O'Leary goes in and asks certain questions, and Mr. Cox goes in and asks a totally bunch of different questions, and Mr. Locks does the same thing, you do, and Mr. Barasas and myself, and we all have different questions. Council as a whole makes the decision. We need to be all on the same page when we're doing these subdivision agreements. When we're looking at this subdivision, where the trails go through, why the trails aren't going through this way, why there's not enough parking, why they're, where we can
And I
see
appreciate that,
issues.
Councillor Meadows, but those questions you just asked aren't any of your questions. And if you want to know that, then let's sit here and figure out what.
Those were just a few questions.
You just said there might be questions that you'd want answered, and
Well,
you just
there's
mentioned.
those are my questions
All right,
that are on that
so then
notice
I'll
of
open it-
motion, but
I'll-
there's
then I'll
the
open
other
it-
councillors. Let me
Awesome.
finish.
I'll
I
open it
still
to
had the
other-
floor.
I'll open it to other council members. Are there other
I
questions?
still had the
Are
floor.
there other questions that
Point
you'd
of
like?
order.
Are you other questions that you'd like to add to this?
Point of order.
Yes, Councillor Meadows.
I had the floor and
And
you're
you're
over talking.
Thank you, and you're finished right now because I'm going to move on. So,
Point of order.
thank you, and I've decided what's going on.
I'd like to have,
Thank you.
I'd like to have,
Councillor
the rest of
Meadows.
council make a decision
I've given you leeway all night for this.
Oh,
Procedure is appeal.
So
I want to appeal your procedural.
I haven't made any ruling whatsoever.
You did. You just said that you overruled me.
No, I
I
didn't.
called a point of order and you said there's no point of order.
No, what I said is you're finished.
Can we just vote?
So, council.
Hey, like honestly.
Councillor Meadows would like to know your questions for staff to prepare a report.
My question is,
You
can
have-
we vote?
Do you have any questions that you would like to add to Councillor Meadows' questions so that we get a thorough report back in December with every question that council wishes to know about the Everett development? Because what I don't want to, then that's fine. But what I don't want to do is sit here in December talking about, well, why wasn't that answered? And this is the concern that I have. This is going to start a snowball effect of questions after questions after questions that if you don't know what you want to ask, if you didn't know what to ask, if you didn't know what to come in and ask Chris a week ago, what's it going to matter what you know, what you have on this report or what's going to be in the future report? If you have questions, let's hear them. Councillor Cox.
Through the chair. How about we just eliminate all the questions and just have a closed meeting on an update on the Everett situation where we can ask them as they come through. We can prepare for them instead of being on the fly and trying to, and keeping our constituents here. And honestly, it's kind of embarrassing to be in front of staff being like this, to be
So,
totally honest.
To be honest.
Let's just have a closed
to be honest,
meeting and
that's already-
discuss
it's
about
already
it.
been scheduled.
So what are we doing here?
We're talking about Councillor Meadows' motion
So we have an Everett specific meeting
in camera
in camera.
by the end of the year.
Oh, but if it hasn't, that's the thing, like, I didn't know there's that meeting called.
You
so
didn't
that's why
ask the
I'm bringing-
question.
I just did.
Why should we ask the question?
Because
If a meeting's scheduled, I shouldn't have to ask a question. This is, listen, we don't need to fight here. This is what I talk about unity, okay? Unity. It's very easy. People get their egos and stuff ahead of them. Things are getting thrown around. Everybody just calm down. Let's just have a meeting. Have a meeting together, closed meeting. The CAO can update us. Planning can be there. And I think everybody would leave that meeting feeling a lot better than they feel right now. So I think we should just probably end this and regroup. Okay? Everyone just needs to regroup.
And I completely agree. And that's why the meeting was going to be scheduled. So,
By the end of the year.
Let's make a date.
well, the end of the year was going to be a report from the CEO on this item too.
What's this, October?
Like this is the end of, this is December.
Hasn't been scheduled. Budget?
Everett's the budget meeting.
Councillor Simpson.
Through the chair. I see that this is getting heated. I don't know why, but it doesn't need to be. I think a closed meeting would be sufficient. As long as members of council are on board and understand what's going on, I think that's what the issue is that some of us feel that we're not getting the opportunities to get the information that we'd like to see. I think that's a good idea. We can do that. And I did notice you mentioned a couple of things that are theoretical. I mean, like, is an outflow location a theoretical thing? Like, we can't build this whole subdivision without having these things in place, right? When at some point,
Go through this.
point of order.
I'll go home then. This is a council, sorry. This is a council meeting. We're going to discuss whatever items anybody wants to talk about. That's how we're going to handle this.
Very good. Get down for a minute.
That's fine, because you haven't spoke yet, so. Councillor Simpson, continue.
Thank you. At some point, the province is going to come and say, look, you guys are running out of time. This thing needs to get done or we're taking that 35 million away. I do not want to be agreeing to something at the 11th hour because I'm under threat that $35 million is going to be lost. Before those deadlines come to pass, I want to make sure that I see these agreements, that I see what the plan is, that we all see what the plan is, that we all have an opportunity to review it, to talk about it. We've got a lot of really smart people at this table. We have people who are in those industries, who have worked in those fields. That input is important, and I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts on something before we make those decisions. And that's what the whole point of this is that we as a council need to meet, need to talk about it. It shouldn't be that, when we're meeting with the deputy minister asking for funds, that's not when I want to see 4,010 units being listed in a document. I want to see those numbers being presented well in advance, so we're all on the same page going into that meeting. And I think that's what the issue is. So, if we want to do this in closed, I think that would be appropriate.
And I think everybody's on the same page here. What I'm concerned about is this here. This is on the table right now. We have a motion on the table to ask staff to, again, as I said earlier, to prioritize something. Is this a priority of council to write a report to answer 14 questions when the information, as the CEO has indicated, is coming to council at the proper stages during the process? So that's what I'm getting at here. It's not about the fact that we're having arguments about or discussions as to what the questions are and who's doing what. It's the information as to when. And what I've heard at the start of this discussion was, we're not in a loop. We don't know what's going on. And you want to have a discussion. But I haven't heard anything about anybody wanting a report. So if we want staff to write a report, this is what that's asking to do. So do you want the report? And that's what I've been trying to get at. We've got 14 questions, and if you want a report, do you want a report with your questions only, or Councillor Meadows' questions only? Like, if we're asking staff to write something, then you want a thorough report. I'm assuming you'd want your questions answered. So the topic is a report. If you want the report or not want the report. And that was what I was trying to get at. Deputy Mayor Locks.
Thank you, through your worship. It was, I guess, whatever. We had the discussion. It was balked at that we would have a meeting before the end of the year, but the actual notice of motion would ask for a report by the end of the year. So we're all on the same page. Let's get something done by the end of the year, whether it is a closed session, everybody can come with their questions. We can, no offense, disregard this notice of motion. If it's gonna solve the same problem with us having a closed session, everybody come with your questions, or not, or just come in and sit and listen to what is going to be explained to you. And then at that point, if you're not happy with the answers you're getting, you may have to have another meeting after that. It'll give you a chance to think about what was told. Everybody will have whatever information that is available at that point. If you're not happy with a complete listing of information, then obviously we'll have to have a second meeting, and you can come back with your additional questions. And like everybody said here, we're in the same sandbox. Let's play together here. Let's get this done right. I sat here quietly because I know, that's a new one. But everybody, whatever. I've sat here and listened to everybody, and everybody's passionate about this. So let's do this right. And no offense to your notice of motion, if you're okay to either make an amendment to that, we're going to have a meeting to discuss all this so that everybody can show up with all their questions and get that done with. And we can sign off tonight, take a breather, and come back at some point and figure all this out.
We can just defer this, make a motion to defer Bob's.
No, we'd have to, as long as you can, As long as he's,
I don't care.
as long as he's
Friendly amendment
Yeah.
to ask these questions in closed session.
in closed session, okay?
Done.
That's all, that's all.
But
Councilor Metals, or Councilor O'Leary, rather.
They're having a meeting in closed session. with all
through the
parties.
chair, if we're going to have a meeting, in order to understand the process, I would like to make a request that our planner give us a Coles Notes type step-by-step process of how it's done and have it available at least a week prior to us having this closed meeting so that we all understand it, there's no confusion or whatever, and we can proceed from there. If that sounds fair to everybody.
So again, it's possible. The concern is we won't be sharing anything that's publicly available in closed session. So if you're asking for something to be prepared by the planning department, that would be public knowledge, and we can't do that in closed session.
I don't know if it is, like, if it's not, then provide it at any given time. Basically, provide all the Coles Notes information so we can go through it and understand it. Because how many people here have done a subdivision before? And done it right?
We've done them all. Councilor O'Leary, you've done 3 yourself, so.
I guess that, just some humor. We gotta have some humor.
All right, any further comments on the motion?
That's good.
Well, I'm not even sure what the friendly amendment is, and I don't even know if it can be a
Move it to close.
friendly amendment.
Just put an amendment on
No, I didn't.
it. Okay. Let's vote on the motion.
Would you like me to put an amendment on the floor? Let's amend that we meet at a certain time before the end of the year to discuss the Everett subdivision and/or future and/or past,
And approval.
all included, all included, everything included,
All in camera?
if that's what's desired.
Well,
No.
that's not a, I don't think that.
How about a suggestion from the clerk?
We just
Sorry.
Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to Deputy Mayor Laux. My recommendation at this time would be that the motion on the floor be withdrawn and a new motion be put on the floor, requesting that a special council meeting be held for the purpose of the Everett development. I would not stipulate if that in the motion, if the meeting was to be held in open or closed. I would allow staff an opportunity to review the materials and determine which can be presented in closed based on the exceptions in the Municipal Act and what needs to be presented in open session.
So, and again, I appreciate that recommendation. I don't necessarily agree with it to the fact that I've already stated that we'd call a meeting. So I would agree with the first part, just withdraw the motion and leave it there.
Well, I'll withdraw the motion as long as the meeting falls before year end.
That's what we talked about.
Well,
All right.
As long as I got your word, that we're gonna have a meeting and we're gonna be able to discuss these topics. The meeting. Not gonna be. All for it.
Okay.
I'm gonna make that promise to me.
Well, I can't tell you that I'm not going to shut you down because I'm going to allot time for every council member to sit here and ask questions because I think everybody deserves a chance to ask questions.
All right, I'm not gonna pull my motion because I want my questions answered.
Okay. I'm certainly committing to having a special meeting.
But so am I.
All right, so on the question then. And I'll request,
I'd like to make a friendly amendment just to make that, if we're not changing this motion, that it be enclosed.
I have no problems with that, but a lot of the stuff in that mean we can't discuss anything.
I'm just concerned about negotiations.
So I will note that again, and I'll look at for advice from the clerk. If we want to put closed in there, the meeting may not happen then. Well, it may not be open either. Maybe part and parcel. What I'm getting at is the township will not put us into any the staff will not put us into any legal liability of calling a closed or open session meeting, even if we direct them to have a closed or open session meeting. So if we direct it that way and they can't proceed with that, we're not going to do it.
But there's an issue where there's. I have no problem with that. That's.
Okay, so the motion's on the table. All in favor? Okay, Karen.
Motion for a meeting?
Motion, this motion. This motion.
It was amended.
No, there's no amendment.
You put amendment on? It's passed. What I mean, like, we're getting lost in translation.
There's been no amendment on the table, so the main motion's on the table. Well, that's up to you.
Motion's been passed.
I didn't announce the result yet.
You saw the
Now you're quoting technicality.
Well,
We wanted a meeting without this motion.
Well, I told you.
okay, so
I would agree with the meeting. If you would allow my answers to be, he said no. So that's why I said no to.
all right, so the main motion is on the floor, and I will call the question. All those in favor of the main motion? And that's defeated. That's defeated.
So we'll have a meeting.
All right, item 18 is new business. I don't believe there's any and I should actually go back and ask if there's any other notice of motions to be brought forward for a future meeting. Councillor Cox.
You have a motion to have a meeting about Everett,
I'll second that one.
We won't discuss that until November.
an all-inclusive one by the end of the year. That's like not
Wanna know-
designated opened or closed.
Do you want to notice that notice of motion?
Yeah.
It won't be discussed until next meeting.
Till next meeting,
And then,
pretty much at the end of the year.
right. So how about you trust me and I'll have a meeting?
You got my trust.
All right, any items of new business that we didn't address? Okay, and we're on to the 19, which is confirmation bylaw 2025-052, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Township of Adjala-Tosorontio at its regular council meeting held on October 8th, 2025 be enacted. And mover, please. Councillor Cox, seconder, please.
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Laux, all those in favor? All those in favor? That's defeated. And we are adjourned at 9:39 PM.
4-1. So what is the deal?